Hello, I'm Chris from the band Coldplay, and we're in the Vibebreaker, having a good time, so you should come in and say hello and join us. Well, you know, since the dawn of history, there's been next big things, you know, and most of them are never a big thing. So I have extreme fear when someone tells me that we're the next big thing, because I take it as read that we're going to be forgotten about in 2 weeks. Well, people are telling me we've connected and we're doing really well, but you know, I look at Shania Twain and I think, well, she's kind of selling X amount of million records and we're very tiny. So I still see it like we have a long way to go, you know. I don't know if we have connected yet or anything like that. I think there's a few people that know what we're good at, and that's good. But you know, it's all a bit of a blur for me. I don't really know where we are anywhere. You know, well, the whole comparisons thing is easily explainable. It's like, I always think of my dad, you know, he'll meet someone and he'll decide something about them, and then whenever he sees them, he'll always say, oh, you know, you're that, you know, fish lover, aren't you? And they'll go, well, actually, I just mentioned that I ate fish once, you know. But he always does it, like, with everybody, and my mum gets really annoyed with it. And it's exactly the same with bands, you know. Someone wrote about us once that we sounded a little like someone, and so everybody goes, that's who they sound like, you know. So I just think it's funny. I don't really worry about it. There's no movement or trend or anything like that. People are always, you know, it's as if, like, people imagine that you get together with all these other bands and go, right, what are we going to call our movement, you know? I don't think there's any I think people worry too much about that sort of thing, you know? It's just a bunch of bands, you know? It's not like fascism or something like that, you know what I mean? Well, the four of us in the last 2 years have kind of gone from just sitting around in a room at the end of every day. You know, we used to sit around in Johnny's bedroom and just play songs, you know, and we had a list of things that we wanted to do, and it was like get signed and get a record deal, and, you know, and we've gone from that to, you know, having bad reviews and being in America and playing at the Fillmore and, you know, doing all these amazing things. And in between those 2 points, we've had to make a really difficult record to make, and we've had countless arguments and problems and stresses, but the fact that we've come through all of them, it's kind of, you know, although we have our day-to-day problems, there's no question that we're like meant to be together, if you see what I mean.
Hi, I'm Guy from Coldplay. Come and see us at the Vibebreaker. Well, being branded as the next big thing is it's quite flattering, and it's an honour. But we try not sort of let that pressure us in any way. We try to just keep our focus within the group and not kind of take in too many external factors, because I think if you start believing everything you read, and if that starts affecting your music, then you've lost what you had to start with in the beginning. So things would start to change, and things are going really well for us now. So I think we're just going to try and stick to the same old recipe. I think in the UK we're doing so well at the moment because of several factors coming together at the right time. I think it's basically there's not too many bands around that are doing songs in a kind of conventional band way, and also there's a lot of kind of manufactured music, which is, you know, which I find personally quite soulless and uninteresting. So people have been bombarded with, you know, stuff like, you know, boy bands, and I think people are just starting to want real music back again. And also the radio stations have just picked up on us and they've been supporting us. So it's a combination of having good songs at the right time and people supporting us. Comparisons we don't mind. We were always expecting them. We were expecting them to be Radiohead and Jeff Buckley. You know, we predicted that before they even happened, and it's flattering in a way. But at the same time, we're not trying to be those. But we're not trying to emulate anyone else except our own selves. You know, and but I think now that the record, certainly in the UK, where people have you know, heard us a bit longer, because they've heard our album, the comparisons stop because we become, you know, our own. We have our own identity. So comparisons always kind of start before bands have done releases, but as soon as the albums come out, then it disappears. I think there's enough bands doing this sort of music to yeah, it could almost be called a movement. I mean, there's Travis, Badly Drawn Boy, Doves, us. So there's four bands that are doing quite well at the moment in Britain. So if that, and there's other bands that are coming through all the time, that are doing kind of very melodic, simple songs. So maybe, and I don't know if it's a reaction against anything, but it just seems to be happening, you know. Maybe we'll realise in 5 or 10 years' time what it was all about, because that's the power of hindsight is always useful. The interaction between the four of us is constantly changing all the time. So you have to just be learning all the time about how to deal with each other, and you've got to just try and think what everyone else is thinking in order to not upset anyone, because, you know, it is an abnormal amount of time to spend with the same, you know, in the same company. So you have to kind of be careful where you're treading sometimes. But, you know, we're pretty good at that. You know, none of us like arguing or, you know, causing tense situations, so we're pretty good at avoiding it and knowing what other people are going to like and dislike, so we're pretty good.